I'll call this meeting of the Blackhawk County Board of Supervisors to order. Roll call, please, Mr. Veeder.
Leyland,
Here.
Little,
Here.
Belka,
Here.
White,
Here.
Schwartz.
Here. Please join us in a moment of silence to reflect on today's actions. Please join us for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Have the agenda as received or amended?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion or questions? Hearing none, roll call, please, Mr. Veeder.
Leyland,
Here.
Little,
Yes.
Belka,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
Schwartz.
Yes. The agenda is approved. Next, we'll move on to public comments. Anybody wishing to speak to the board this time on something that is not an agenda item? Seeing none, we will move on to claims and payments.
Morning, Board. James Perry, Finance Director. This week's claims $844,992.02. The notable pieces here: jail boiler project, $84,429. Jail commissary, $43,500. Secondary roads, $410,129. Sheriff's, $134,800. And maintenance, $24,893. Everything was normal.
I entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Any discussion or questions? Hearing none, roll call, please, Mr. Veeder.
Little,
Yes.
Belka,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
Leyland,
Yes.
Schwartz.
Yes. Resolution is approved. Next, we'll receive project updates from department heads or elected officials.
Morning, Kathy.
Good morning, Board.
Morning.
Catherine Nicholas, County Engineer. I want to update you on the Cedar River Bridge replacement up on Cedar Wapsie Road. PCI set beams yesterday. They will be setting another span today, and then the final span should be set on Friday. So they are making good progress. If you want to see that, you can contact the office or go out there and ask that we can give you a hard hat and a vest, etc. And then the bridge crew, our own bridge crew, has moved down to Hess Road to replace that structure that we had to do an emergency closure on about a year ago. So that location is south of Schrock Road. That should be closed. Well, it should be reopened. The new bridge should be reopened in about 6 to 8 weeks. Can I answer any questions? Thank you.
Thank you. All right, James.
Wanted to let you guys know that the auditors are here this week. They will be here today, tomorrow, and Thursday. They are in the IT conference room, so stop by, say hi, and be on your best behavior.
You too.
Yeah.
All right, any other department heads or elected officials?
Yes, this is Nafisa.
Good morning.
Hello. Good morning, Board.
Morning.
So at the Health Department, we're still continuing to monitor the situation of COVID. We've had a few increases over the past weekend. Outside of that, we're also looking at the funding that was released by Governor Reynolds' office under the CARES Act. I will be sending a communication to the Board of Supervisors because according to the information that was directly sent to the department, there needs to be a resolution that would need to be passed for Blackhawk County to receive the funding. And I believe we were allocated about $1 million, I want to say $1,663,000, something like that. And so Patty and I, and also with the state, we're looking at our state liaison, what that's going to look like, because they just informed us that within the upcoming days that they're going to release what the application structure is going to be. So James will probably need to do that together. But in the meantime, I'm going to send the communication as it relates to the resolution. They have the wording in there, so I can send it to the Board of Supervisors.
So the resolution is actually on today's agenda. So that was
Oh,
communicated.
okay.
That was
I didn't
communicated
see it
last
for
week.
some reason. Okay,
Nope, that's
great.
totally
Thank
fine.
you.
So we'll, I mean, we can touch base on that a little bit later, but that's going to be item 7C. That is-
Great.
Yep. So that's on today. So.
Okay, thank you.
James, did legal get a chance to look at that?
I'm sorry. What was that?
Did legal get a chance to look at that language for that resolution from the state?
No. So the resolution from the state is really the only thing it is saying is to be eligible for local governments to need to pass the resolution. They need to pass the resolution for submitted follow the federal and state guidelines on how the funds should be spent. So I guess no, they did not look at the resolution. The resolution itself is very general, essentially saying that you guys are going to be following state and local guidelines. So I guess I did not pass that on to
I think in the future it'd be wise to run it through them before you put it on the agenda.
Okay, I can definitely do that.
James, wasn't that the one that was put out by State Association of Counties?
Yes.
There was a template that was provided by the Iowa State Association of Counties that I'm sure was reviewed by their legal counsel, but there's no reason why it shouldn't go by our legal counsel too.
Well, and I was gonna say, we could just pass it subject to a review that I can complete later today, probably. So,
Great.
I wouldn't see a problem with that.
Yeah, because that template was handed down, I guess I didn't even think about it. I apologize for that. So that's on me.
Easy to fix.
All right.
Thanks.
Are there any other department heads or elected officials? Seeing none, we will move on to the minutes approved from the August 11th meeting.
So moved.
Second?
Moved and seconded. Any discussion or questions? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? The minutes are approved. Next, we'll move on to the consent agenda. This will be approved with a single resolution.
So moved.
Second?
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion or questions about anything in the consent agenda? All right. Hearing none, roll call, please, Mr. Veeder.
Trelka,
Yes.
White. Yes. Leyland,
Yes.
Little,
Yes.
Schwartz.
Yes. Consent agenda is approved. Next, under other business, this is discussion, possible board action, the Blackhawk County Solid Waste Bonding Needs with John Foster, Solid Waste Resource Recovery Administrator.
Oh, thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I apologize for not getting this out a little sooner. I had a lot of issues last week I had to deal with.
Great.
Thank you.
You'll take some time with us today because I can speak for myself, but I didn't read it as closely as I would have.
Thank
either,
you.
So thank you.
Good morning. What I'm here today is to provide a little update on where we spent the funds from the 2019 bond that was backed by the county last year. That was a $6 million project, as well as kind of give you a presentation on and come and request additional fundings to finish that project. Just as a reminder that the commission is an intergovernmental entity. It was established in 1974. It is the Blackhawk County Solid Waste Management Commission has its members is the county itself, as well as all the municipalities within the county. We're charged with solid waste management within the Blackhawk County, which includes managing the landfill and overseeing the comprehensive solid waste comprehensive planning within the area as well. To meet its mission, one of the things that we're required to do is engineer and construct cells that are environmentally safe to meet regulatory requirements with the focus on groundwater protection. To summarize, a lot of our project needs right now, the active W2 landfill cell has approximately 3 years of air capacity left, and the commission is in the process of constructing the cell W3 in 3 phases. This right here will give us enough capacity for another 12 years. The commission has 2 more cells planned after that period to last us at least another 25 plus years. In order to fund these massive projects, it is the commission's policy to have current users pay for the landfill cell rather than pre-funding for future development. All of our revenues come in from our tipping fees. We do not collect any per capita nor any tax funds for our operations. It recognizes that the commission has its ability to go out and bond on its own, but those are going to be revenue bonds because we don't have any taxing authority. So what we do is we rely a lot upon our member communities to provide assistance with that bonding to kind of help reduce the rates for those projects as well for funding. Accounting, we'll kind of go back to the 2019 project itself. We ended up borrowing $6 million, and we report every month to Mr. Perry on where those expenses have gone. So far, we've had $4,193,197 or $917 went to the major excavation of the project that was awarded to Peterson Contractors. We excavated over 2 million cubic yards and created 2 stockpiles on adjacent property. The other additional $1 million was spent on utility relocation on the site. We had a major power line that was going right down through the middle of the cell, as well as just in the purchase of tire-derived aggregate, which is over 1 million tires that have all been ground up, and we'll use that as a drainage material on the bottom. What we got right here is just a kind of a project summary. I'm kind of just walk you through a little bit on what we've done so far. These right here are pictures that I've taken on top of the landfill itself. And this one right here, we're looking towards the west, kind of a west and a north kind of a picture. So you can kind of see the farmland across the road. We ended up buying over 40 acres just to store this dirt because we no longer had any more space within our landfill footprint. So it kind of gives you a good idea on the existing footprint. Oops. There we go. So this right here kind of hits that property mainly where we purchased to the west. Slide to the next one. This right here is showing how we just got started in December. So this project was awarded in December. And at that point, in November when they started work right away in December. And then it continued on. We finally finished up closure back in April. So this right here is showing the first lift. And this, luckily, most of the large rocks that we hit were in the first lift, so it wasn't too difficult to get those outside the pile. So it kind of gives you the first cuts. This one right here is the excavation down in February. You can see we've already done at least 2 lifts, so we're already at least 20 feet into the ground. The footprint of this is 18.8 acres, and by the time we're all done and said, we're about 170 feet down into the hole. You go ahead and of course, this is March. As you can see, we're continuing getting down deeper. One change that was made from one of the issues that we ran into is when we came to ask for the money back in August, we were into the overall design phase, but we hadn't had all the specifics of the design done. One of the things you're going to notice here, especially when you advance these other cells, the side slopes on this, you can see that they're relatively steep. Normally we will do a 4-to-1 side slope. On this project right here, we ended up changing that to a 3-to-1 slope. By making that difference, instead of having a slope that's kicked out like this and we're kind of making it more vertical, that actually gave us 3 more years of airspace through that one decision. So it cost us a little bit, probably about $1 million to do that change order, but over time that's going to give us an additional $3 to $4 million of additional revenue from that change. So again, our goal is to be able to maximize the amount of airspace that we're using so that way we're not wasting that space. One of the other things you can see here is you can see the truck is kind of the hood of the truck, and if you look forward, there's tire tracks that go up around there. That's our new perimeter road, and that was one of the things that we have to design in this project as well, is to develop that perimeter road around, as well as move the electrical from the left side of the screen there. That's where the main power comes through. So we have to move all those power lines and move it to the right side of the screen. So that was the major project that we have going on right now with Mid-America. And this was April, so I think this should be the final condition. Then the next slide right here should show us just kind of the final gradings. Then that's the west end of the cell. And if you flip over to the next one, this will be the east side. And it gives you an idea just of the expanse of this cell. One of the issues we're kind of running into right now is just maintaining the stormwater out of the cell. So as we start the next project, they don't have to deal with all that silt. If you move to the next slide, this right here will show you all the berm that we have out there. So I showed you the very first slide was that property to the west side of Hammond. This right here is showing where all that dirt went from inside that hole onto that property. As you're going through right now, what our advanced plan is, we've put topsoil on that east pile, and we've already seeded that down. I want to do some cooperation with county conservation and try to get some prairie plantings on top of that berm, as well as looking at possibly any pollinator seeding on that, as well as planting some trees so we can kind of get a nice little kind of a windbreak up in that area. And then this is final condition. I think that's the last slide, right? Oh, there we go. This is the last. So this right here is kind of just giving you an idea where we're going to be at for this next one. So this next cell that we ended up bidding out. The second part of this project is actually the liner portion of this project. So this is where we'll start doing the infrastructure, finish the development of that road, lay down the plastic liner and the drainage collection layers. So this right here kind of gives you an idea of that layout, with the blue portion being the existing cell, and then you can see where cell W2 phase 2 and phase 3 kind of come into the futures. And then we do still have quite a bit of soil that needs to be removed out of that. We do about another 10 foot of soil that needs to come off of that so that we can get that liner built into the system. Are there any questions? So this project right here was actually, we went out for bid in, we received bids back in March. We ended up rejecting all the bids just because of, I think, COVID. A lot of contractors didn't know what the possibilities are going to be, so we got some really kind of crazy prices. It came over significantly over engineer's estimate. We held off and rebid that and opened the bids up last month, and we ended up coming in at $127,000 for this project. In short, where we're at right now is we're about $3 million short for this project. And what we'd like to do is be able to request another bond for $3 million to finish this project. As part of this request as well, and there's a little bit of room left over on the bonding that, from my understanding from the bond that you're looking at doing for county secondary roads as well, is that we're in the process of negotiating some property purchase as well. With interest rates at the rate that they are right now, it makes more sense for us to roll that into a bond than necessarily use our reserves for those. So we're looking at probably not to exceed $800,000 for that portion of it. So the commission is requesting your support in a bond of $4.5 million. Are there any questions?
Probably not at this time. I was going to say I didn't thoroughly review the information that you'd sent.
And I apologize.
Yesterday, but so I just wanted to let you know that as well. Your timeline then for these projects again was?
Correct, and I kind of give you a brief timeline on what to expect in the future for us coming back to request bonding and support as well.
Now, you mentioned earlier too, the cell that was completed gives you 12 additional years. Is that what you said, 12 additional years of?
It's going to be all three of these cells put together, all three of these phases.
Okay.
So this phase right here will give us about 4 years of capacity, and that's why we're kind of shooting for 24, 25. I'm being rather conservative with this, so we'd say August of 2024, but it could very well be August of 2025 as well. So we do build in some flexibility. And again, if we get a storm, a massive storm or something like that, that changes these projections as well.
No, the last time we bonded this, I don't think this was discussed. These plans for doing this at this point in time, or to do it now? Or?
Well, we presented one. It was kind of a wider array, kind of showing you of all of our capital projects. A lot of our post-closure expenditures, those are ones that we pre-fund, and we have funds already set aside as part of our requirement. So those projects I removed just to make it a little bit simpler for you to see where we would be coming to you and asking for bonding support.
Okay. And so your timeline to make a decision or determination that you're looking for from us is fairly immediate, next few months here?
Correct. We're looking at tagging on to this bond issuance that you're looking at for county secondary roads. And I don't know if James wants to talk a little bit about that, or?
Yeah, we can talk a little bit about that. Unfortunately, we're going to need to know on a pretty decent turnaround time, only because when we held the public hearing for the pre-levy, we held the public hearing for the secondary roads. We did not hold the public hearing for solid waste as well. So that is going to be something that we would need to include and hopefully get done, like I said, sooner than later. Looking at selling the bonds late October, just to get those over and taken care of before the election. So again, we're looking, I mean, hopefully in a week or two, at least getting an idea of where we stand and what we want to do as a county.
So we can get back to them with any questions, or you as well, and then decide where to go from there?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep, absolutely.
Does that work for you?
So we could put this on the agenda for next week to give us a little time just to review all this? Is that,
Probably don't need it on next week yet. Well, maybe. I was going to say, you mean put it on? What, Tom?
No, nothing. I was just saying, this is just strictly bonding that the county's done over the years. They pay all the costs and everything, so basically they're just using Blackhawk County as bonding agent.
Yeah. Just one of the things I was going to consider, or maybe even think about asking, is we used to have solid waste funds that were very helpful to the county at one point in time. And we utilized those for the grant funding and stuff of projects. And I remember when your predecessor was here asking if there'd be any consideration for possibility of the county having that benefit again. So it was just something that went through my head.
I think those days are long gone, Linda. It was about 12 years ago, 14 years ago, when they had such an excess that the commission at that time determined to kind of give back to each one of the communities. I think it was per capita, because they had quite a bit of money in the bank. It was just one of those periods that solid waste didn't have to do any repairs or new cells out there. But as far as that revenue ever coming back to the county and the cities, I doubt very seriously if that'll ever happen, especially when they're bonding money right now, borrowing it.
Well, I knew they come from tipping fees, like you said. It wasn't from the taxpayers, so it's just something to cross my mind.
No, we still provide the recycling grants to the communities as well as a check to the county, just for, as in lieu of taxes, I think was what we call that one. So that's roughly about $500,000 we do dole out for those grants. As the revenue distribution grants, as Tom mentioned, those funds are out. I mean, our revenue, our reserve, the only thing that we have in our reserves right now is enough to be able to cover our post-closure account and a couple $1 million just for any kind of discrepancy issues that we may have coming up. And a lot of that, it depends on different agencies, and once you start building up those accounts, and we just had that discussion a little bit the other day, is that I'm more of the mindset that we should be able to finance these projects and have the ability to do that up front without going to bond. But it's the political sense of this right here. If I'm sitting on $21 million, everybody thinks it's just $21 million, not realizing that it costs $10 million to build a cell, or it may spend $1 million to do a measures of corrective assessment of corrective measures or something like that to address the environmental issues.
And then the purchase of property sometimes for additional cell planning, I guess, for planning for the additional cells. I know you've done some property purchases.
Correct. And that's something that I think that there could be some partnerships is, because again, the commission looks to buy buffer land as well. And so there is that the reason why we purchase buffer land is that way we control the development, so that way we don't necessarily have issues that we don't want to get. So those might be some possibilities where we can kind of work together and make those opportunities work.
And you recently acquired 40 acres.
Correct.
And there's, I see in this documentation you just provided, there's $800,000 to acquire more?
Correct.
Okay.
Yep, we're looking at purchasing another probably 46 acres.
Gotcha.
46 to 50.
this is unrelated to this project. I'm just curious on how plans are developing on methane gas capture. I know you mentioned last time you were here that was something you were looking into.
No, unfortunately, I haven't advanced too far on that one.
Okay.
Well, maybe next week is fine. I've just thought some time to talk with James and ask questions, I guess, if we have questions over the next week or so.
And Maggie's online too, if you have any questions for her, but we had kind of run some scenarios all together. If we were to have solid waste in there, along with the refundings that we currently have, we're looking at about a $14 million bond, and then we'd be refunding two bonds as well. So it'd be the 2010 bonds and the 2011 Bs. So there's some cost savings on on that front as well.
For them.
So if we tie them all together, it'd be about a $14 million bond that we'd be looking at here coming.
And what kind of a payback for us?
Well, so we're looking at, for the Grundy Road portion, we amortized it over 10, and I requested for us to amortize it over 7. I like the 7-year payments better, it's a little bit more aggressive. Our debt service requirements for the taxes are dropping a little bit this year as well, so I feel like that's a good kind of compromise to kind of keep that a little bit more level as maintaining an aggressive payback period. So I personally like the 7. Kind of when we get to that point, I'll kind of describe exactly what that looks like. So.
Okay. Well, I guess maybe if we have all our questions answered in the next 2 weeks anyway. If somebody doesn't have them answered by next week, then we could still extend it a week. That buys us time, but okay.
So,
Hey, John? Hey, John? Why don't you, when you come back the next time, why don't you do a little research and give the board kind of an update on that rebate program that was established back, I believe, in the 90s. If I'm not mistaken, we had anywhere from $8 to $12 billion in the reserves. And that's why the solid waste decided to give some of that back to the community. So if you got any information on that, why don't you bring it back just for information purposes only?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Does anyone else have any questions today? All right. Great.
Thank you very
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next on the agenda, discussion, possible board action, to discuss county preparedness for COVID-19. Does anybody have anything they wish to discuss today? All right, we can move on to item C. This is resolution, the request of reimbursement for eligible costs related to COVID-19 public health emergency from the Iowa COVID-19 Government Relief Fund be approved, and for the chair to sign the same.
So moved.
Subject to review by legal counsel.
Yep, subject.
Second.
All right, any discussion or questions? Hearing none, roll call please, Mr. Veeder.
White,
Yes.
Leyland,
Yes.
Little,
Yes.
Jelka,
Yes.
Wertz.
Yes, the resolution is approved. Next is a resolution that the bridge embargo establishing vehicle and load limits for structure number 076100 crossing a tributary of Crane Creek located on Wheeler Road between Dunkerton Road and East Mount Vernon Road west of line section 26 T90N R11W with a load limit of 3 tons and reduced to 1 lane be approved, and the signs be erected advising of the permissible maximum weight limits as recommended by Catherine Nicholas, County Engineer.
So moved.
Catherine Nicholas, County Engineer.
Second.
Good morning, Board. I wanted to show you a few pictures of this bridge and just talk very briefly about it. The structure is about 60 years old, and it's 182 feet long, and for about 10 years now we've had it posted at a 40-ton posting. However, as many of our bridges, as you know, the timber piles, they're continuing to deteriorate, and there are, I believe, 5 piers here under this bridge, so there's a number of timber piles that are continuing to deteriorate. Next slide, Kim. You can see some of the deterioration there. It's usually around the water line. Next slide. And this is up on the deck, of course, and we have some rebar that's being exposed on the top of the deck. And next slide, Kim. So again, this is at the abutments. You can see that some of the timber piling is deteriorating. We opted to place a very low load limit on this rather than closing it. About 10 years ago, we had a public meeting with these residents. This is a community, or this is just northeast of Dunkerton, the city of Dunkerton. And we did hear from several of these residents that they were emergency responders. They worked at a hospital. They needed to get access to their place of business, to their work in a fast manner. We've opted to let it go to a 3-ton posting for now. We will not be able to plow the snow on the bridge anymore. This is too heavy. Our equipment is too heavy to be crossing this structure now. We will do our best to plow the snow on both sides of the road. If this becomes burdensome for us, or or the bridge continues to deteriorate, we may have to close it completely in a year or two. At that public meeting several years ago, we did present that information. Of course, these nearby residents, of course, want the structure to be replaced. We replaced a structure parallel to this road on Nesbit approximately 7 years ago at a cost of $700,000. So this is a very expensive structure to be replaced. However, it would still be worthy of a discussion of discussing that. I will be sending out a letter to the residents this week, just informing them of the 3-ton posting, that the bridge is continuing to deteriorate, and I will CC you on that letter, so I want you to be aware of this letter going out. You may receive calls. We should probably have a public meeting in this area again when we are able to hold public meetings, but in the meantime, I will be sending out a letter to the residents in that 1 mile radius, informing them of our decision to post it at 3 tons.
What's the average car count on that? You know,
I want to say it's probably 20 to 25. It's very low.
Does that service only a couple of residents, Kathy?
I want to say there's 3 or 4 homes
on the other side.
on the north side of the structure. Yes, it's a very low residence in the area. Yeah.
So will you be reminding them in the letter that it won't be plowed, the bridge itself won't be plowed?
Yes.
then? So-
Yeah, that was one of the reasons I wanted to send the letter, that we won't be able to maintain it as.
Thanks for the update, Kathy.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
All right, do we have a motion and a second?
Yes.
Yes.
All right, any further discussion or questions? Hearing none, roll call please, Mr. Veeder.
Leyland,
Yes.
Little,
Yes.
Trelka,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
Schwartz.
Yes, the resolution is approved. Next is a motion to direct the county auditor to advertise for a public hearing / bid opening to be held at 9:05 a.m. on Tuesday, September 8th, 2020, in boardroom 201 of the Blackhawk County Courthouse, 316
So moved.
East 5th Street,
Second.
Laurel, Iowa, on the proposed purchase of 1 single-axle dump truck from the Blackhawk County Engineers Department. It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion or questions? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 All is opposed? The motion carries. Next is a motion to direct the county auditor to advertise for a public hearing and bid opening to be held at 9:07 on Tuesday, September 8th, in boardroom 201 of Blackhawk County Courthouse on the proposed purchase of 1 motor grade of the Blackhawk County Engineers Department.
So moved.
Second.
So moved and seconded. Any discussion or questions? All those in favor, say aye.
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 The motion carries. Next is any reports or information from the board. I'd just like to wish Supervisor Little a happy anniversary.
Thank you.
Yes, Dan.
I've been approached by a couple residents about a possible allowing UTVs to be driven on our rural county roads. And I told them I'd take it to the board to get a feel from the board. I introduced such an ordinance in Waterloo. It's a limited UTV usage. Basically, Grandpa can't take his UTV to church in Waterloo, but if you have a landscape company or you're plowing snow, you can take a working UTV on the roadways. What these individuals who have contacted me are asking for is something more expansive than that. Personal use UTVs, I think even ATVs. And again, this is just our rural roads. But I did tell them I'd present it to the board, get a feeling from the board, and based on the feedback I get from the board, that would determine whether or not I should pursue it.
I don't know if all of us were contacted, but I know I was, and I forwarded on to Kathy as well as the sheriff. I said I wanted input from them on it as well, so I think she said when she got some things out of the way, she would do that, so.
Kathy's not busy.
No, that's
Dan,
fine.
Dan, I talked to him too also, and I did the same thing, Linda. Told him to consult with the sheriff's office, the engineer's office, then the board can bring that together and have a discussion on it. We've been through this before 2 or 3 times.
Sounds good.
More than that.
I would like to thank everybody that helped out this weekend. We put together, on kind of short notice, a food and supply drive, and I think over 100 people stopped by to drop stuff off, including a number of county employees that helped drop things off and even help deliver things to Cedar Rapids. And so just really thankful, especially to our staff that always goes above and beyond to help the community out.
I think there's another one going on too, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah, if you go to the strip mall that's on Franklin Street, I believe that they're operating until 6 p.m. today. They've got a U-Haul there accepting items. I think today is the last day of their drive.
Oh, great.
But the destruction in Cedar Rapids was really unreal. So I just first really great, thankful that this spared Blackhawk County largely, and my thoughts are with the people in Lynn County and Marshall County and Tama and other places that are dealing with all this.
Definitely.
Any other reports or information from the board? All right, we do have a closed session coming up. We will have to first vote on this resolution, correct?
Yes.
All right. This is a resolution that pursuant to the provisions of the Iowa Closed Meeting Law, the Blackhawk County Board of Supervisors shall proceed into closed session at 9:05 a.m. This is 9:36 a.m. With attorneys to discuss strategy with counsel of a matter of litigation that may be imminent and where its disclosure will be likely to prejudice or disadvantage the position of the governmental body in that litigation, and where there will be review and or discussion of records and information which are required or authorized by state or federal law to keep confidential pursuant to Iowa Code Section 21.5.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Roll call, please, Mr. Veeder.
Trelka,
Yes.
Little,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
Leyland,
Yes.
Schwartz.
Yes. The resolution is approved.
Mr. Chair,
Thank you.
Yes.
I need to get a storage device that I put these meetings on extra.
Okay.
Needs to get what?
His storage device.
Oh,